All right, so we have the Markforged Mark II 3D printer here with us today. This is a fiber-based 3D printer, and it can print with reinforcement of fiberglass, carbon fiber, Kevlar, and a whole bunch of other strong and sound filaments to support whatever the print might be, from drones that need to be strong and light to a whole bunch of other projects. Okay, so the first step to every successful 3D print is to make sure that our bed is completely level. And while the Markforged has amazing features, it does not have auto bed leveling. Therefore, we have to level the bed. So step number one is, whenever we're gonna deal with anything in here, we're gonna need to raise this up. So now, as we can see, this is our bed platform. This is our user interface. Let's go into leveling the bed now that we cleared whatever residue was on the nozzle. So we'll go under our settings, bed level, shim bed level. It's gonna zero itself out. The bed is gonna go all the way up. And it's gonna ask us for our plastic shim first. So we gotta loosen every single screw to its lowest position. Make sure you don't go too far, because they will come off. You'll see the bed going up and down. You can visually see it. I can see from here how much lower it'll come. And that's about as low as it'll get. Now we'll click on next. So it says, okay, slide the plastic shim between the nozzles. So we're gonna grab our plastic shim. There's two shims. There's a plastic and there's a fiber shim. We're gonna have to use both. So we're gonna grab our plastic shim and we're gonna slide it right between the nozzle and the bed. Okay, so once we did that, so next, okay, now adjust the thumb screw directly below it till the nozzle can slightly feel it. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna go clockwise and tighten this as I'm gently moving my shim. And I'm just gonna make sure that I'm not leaning on the bed. I'm just grabbing it from out here and I'm just going backwards and forwards so I'll feel a little bit of resistance. I don't want it to be too tight that I can't move it like this. That's not good. Or too loose, I don't feel anything at all. I want it to feel a little bit of resistance so I know that that is in contact. Once we have that done, that looks about right. Click on next. It'll go to the next position. We're gonna do the same thing again. So we're gonna do this and we're gonna bring this up until I feel some resistance. Right about there. I can feel some resistance. Excellent. We'll go to next. It's gonna be a back one. So in this one, just make sure you're either coming from the side. That feels about right. Excellent. Click on next. It's gonna go back to the first position. It says use the plastic shim to double check everything. So now we're gonna come in here and we're gonna double check that this feels about right. Okay, so now we're gonna adjust the fiber shim, and that's for the second nozzle that you can see towards the front. The head looks a little bit flatter. So for this nozzle, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a fiber shim. We're gonna get it right under here. We're gonna make sure there is contact. Same method. We don't wanna be touching the bed at all. Now, I left this adjusted from the last time, but if this did need adjustment, this feels pretty good. But if it did need any adjustment, I will grab the 2.5 millimeter Allen key, and I'm gonna gently lift this up. Now remember, you don't want to let it fall down. So just gently hold it up. And if you can see, there's a screw in here. Can we see this? So that's our fiber nozzle Z adjustment, our height adjustment. Then we will adjust that. We'll put the Allen right on it. And as you turn clockwise, it'll go downwards. And you go counterclockwise, it'll pick up upwards. I'm gonna keep this on it, just like this. I'm gonna feel this with this hand, making sure there's no pressure on the bed. And I'm just gonna make sure there's gentle pressure. And this feels just about right. So if I needed it to loosen it, I would just go counterclockwise or towards the left. And if I needed it tighter, I would go towards the right or clockwise. Click on next, says, okay, use the two shims to check both nozzles, repeat the height, okay, the last time. So we're gonna use the plastic shim. Get in there, verify one last time, that is in good position. Okay, now we are done. So as you can see, the head is going back to its position. So it wants us to print the calibration staircase to verify that what we did is correct. So usually we would. In our case, we're not going to do that. Let's trust our work a little bit. It's not a good idea. You should always test it, otherwise you'll waste a lot of filament. But I'm going to keep a close eye to our first print right now. And if I don't see it going well, we know we have to readjust that. So what we're going to print is this truss bridge. This part right here, this is when you select your filament. And the onyx is kind of our go-to filament. So we have two types of filament that this can take. We have our specialty filaments or our extra support filaments. So whenever you want more structural stability, we would add the carbon fiber or the fiberglass, or depending on what we're working on, different types of support filaments. But our main filament is always going to be the onyx in this case, unless we have something else, such as nylon or something else. So in this case, we have the onyx selected, we'll stick onto that. Our reinforcement material, these will be the other ones that we could use right here, all four options depending on what we install. For this print, we do not need any extra reinforcement material. We downloaded this from Thingiverse. We just brought in an STL. We can just simply import an STL. And once we have an STL into here, you can just go into some basic settings. So under part settings, I scaled it down by 0.6. Over here, this is how you use supports. So whether you need supports or not, you just check the box and that is all. In our case, we're not really gonna use supports. So once we take this off, we're making sure we're working with metric units. I increased my layer height to 0.2. Now you can go between these layer heights. I put 0.2. We don't care too much about quality right now. We just kind of want to show that the print works. Under materials, this is your infill pattern. So the nice thing about the software is it'll toggle through separate clips to show you what each option is. So you can see that rectangular fill, this is hexagonal fill. That's rectangular fill. That's what I'm gonna go for because that's the easiest one to work with, a little faster. And I decreased my density to about 7%. I don't want more than that. My roof and floor layers are 2 layers and my wall layers are also 2 layers. So all around, I'm gonna have 2-layer solid blocks all around this print. We wanna keep it nice and light. Now when you click calculate details over here, it'll give you your print time, an estimate of cost based on input value. So we're calculating details, it's gonna be slicing. Gonna calculate all the additions that we added, making the path of the print, and calculating based on feed rate and flow, how fast is this gonna print. All right, so we can see this is gonna take us 1 hour and 37 minutes. So we can either directly wire this to our Mark II printer. So if we click print, it'll take us into this mode where we can either see part view, so we can go back into here, and now we can spec everything out, or we can adjust our options again, or you can go into internal view. And in internal view, what allows you to do is sort of watch each layer, and then you can see a little more in detail. You can see a little more in detail. If you have questions, if I want to go between layer right here, between these layers right here from 52 to whatever I'm increasing, I can see the difference in these layers right here. So once that's done, and we can also go into 2-dimensional, go into a top view and see the very first layer and increase from there. So this is kind of allows you to see, okay, what do you need supports, what looks good, what doesn't look good, and so on. So in our case, this looks good. We're gonna go back to part view. I'm gonna visually inspect this. Make sure that we really don't need any supports anywhere around here. I really believe that this will print. There's no overhang really anywhere, and the printer can make this angle right here, this arching angle. It can totally print this. There's no serious overhang. All of this can be printed. It'll make all this arc without a problem. These beams right here will work as our supports. So once we get this done, we can go into print. From print, we can either export. So when we go to export, I'm just gonna get it. Okay, so I'm downloading the file right now. Okay, so the file's been downloaded. So now I'm just gonna go and install this onto my USB. So now we're just gonna put the USB in the back of the printer. Once this is done, we're only gonna open this top. We're gonna get closer over here, and we're gonna go on to the settings option right up here. I'm gonna click there. And now we're gonna go on to storage. We're gonna say print from storage. Now we have our truss right here, truss bridge. So it's gonna be increasing the temperature of our nozzle using our onyx filament. So you can see some of the filament already started to come out. What it usually does once it starts printing is a purging process. In case if you had a different type of filament in there, it's going to clear it out. So now we're just beginning drawing a straight line. That line looks very straightforward, very nice. So our bed leveling looks okay.